Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are here to give you the fast track to understanding some of the most, well, frankly, surprising realities shaping the global economy.
And today we're looking at a story that, it almost sounds like science fiction.
It really does. We're talking about a digital transformation happening right now in a Pakistani village called Muzpuran.
It's not just an economic story, it's a social reversal. We're looking at a community, it's in the Sardar area near Rahim Yar Khan, that has just completely changed by going all in on high-value online work.
Yeah, they've basically created a fully digital village.
That's a good way to put it.
And when we say digital, we're talking about a place where highly educated professionals, doctors, engineers,
And even people who had stable, high-paying jobs overseas, in Dubai.
Right. They're quitting those jobs. They're coming home specifically to work full-time on YouTube automation.
It just shows you how profitable they believe this new path is. And look, this didn't happen overnight for the guy who started it all.
Yeah.
Our source, the expert who kind of kicked this all off, he'd been doing online work since like 2013, 2014. Found his footing on YouTube around 2017.
But the big community-wide push, the thing that really changed the village, that only started in late 2023.
The change since then has been just breathtaking.
It's insane. If you want a real measure of the wealth that's flooded in, think about this. The whole village, Muzpuran, used to have maybe 5 cars total.
5.
Today, if there's a family wedding, they literally don't have enough space to park the hundreds of cars owned by the villagers. That's the kind of change we're talking about.
So our mission today is really twofold. First, we want to understand that stunning social shift, how an entire community got behind one idea.
And second, and this is the important part for you listening, we're going to pull apart the exact method, the tools, the specific high RPM niche they're using to target the US, UK, and Canadian markets.
The whole playbook.
Okay, let's unpack the scale of this because the number of people involved is it's hard to get your head around.
It really is. This is a community of roughly 8, maybe 10,000 people.
Okay. And out of that, how many are we talking about who are actively earning money from YouTube?
The expert estimates that between 5,000 and 6,000 people are earning right now.
Wow. 5,000 to 6,000. And what kind of money are they making?
Well, he says that a lot of the, standard channels are consistently hitting about $4,000 a month.
Which is already life-changing money in that part of the world.
Absolutely. But then you have the top earners, the ones they call the big channels. They're reaching figures like $40,000. $40,000 a month. From content automation. That requires a very specific plan. So how did this even start? Was it just one person got rich and it trickled down?
No, it was actually very organized, and it was all about sharing the knowledge. It started in early 2024. The expert, he began these free camp classes for the educated youth in his village.
So he was teaching them actively. He was driving 50 kilometers on his own dime for fuel multiple times a week to teach these hands-on sessions. The very first group had 41 students.
So that's the foundation. It wasn't a secret. It was a blueprint he just gave away to the community.
Exactly. And the most incredible story, I think the one really shows the impact.
On?
There's a young man in the area who is deaf and mute. He can't speak or hear.
Okay.
And despite that, they successfully set him up with a fully monetized YouTube automation channel. It just proves the process is so clear-cut that those kinds of barriers they don't matter.
That is just phenomenal. Truly. Okay, let's talk about the strategy. You mentioned high RPM markets. Can you just quickly explain what RPM is for anyone who isn't deep in this world?
Sure. RPM is revenue per mil. It's how much money a creator gets for every 1,000 views.
Right. Revenue per 1,000.
So when we say they target high RPM markets like the USA or the UK, it means the advertisers in those countries, big car companies, financial services, they pay way more to show their ads.
So a video for a U.S. audience might make, say, $10 for 1,000.
Whereas the same video aimed at a local market might make, 50 cents?
So it's a massive multiplier.
Precisely. And their whole strategy is built on that. They only work on content for the USA and other top-tier countries. They just skip content for places like India or Pakistan, where the RPM is much lower.
And this is where their operation got so big, it actually started confusing people on the outside, which leads to this amazing anecdote about Play.ht.
Right, the voiceover tool. This just shows how professional their setup is. Play.ht is this really good AI voiceover service, but it's not cheap. It's like $300 a month.
Or nearly $2,000 for a year.
Exactly. So imagine you're the seller of this tool, and suddenly dozens, then hundreds of people from this one single rural area in Pakistan all start buying your most expensive package.
You'd think it was a scam or some kind of fraud.
That's what happened. The seller got so confused by the sheer volume of sales from this one spot that he actually contacted the users to figure out what was going on. And it led to him physically traveling all the way to Mozparan.
So a tech provider from who knows where flew to a village in Pakistan to learn how they were using his product to make so much money. That is an incredible role reversal.
It's a huge validation of their model. But, I mean, it wasn't a totally smooth ride. They hit a very real physical wall.
Infrastructure.
The internet in the village was just not ready for this.
Yeah, how do you upload 40-minute videos on slow mobile service? It must have been a huge bottleneck.
It was.
Yeah.
And it forced them to adapt. A lot of people spent their own money on these expensive internet antennas, just trying to get a stable connection.
And the others?
The others just moved. They relocated to the nearby city, Rahim Yar Khan. They started buying up properties, even whole plazas, or just renting big houses together in groups.
All just for better internet.
All for access to reliable, high-speed fiber to keep the content machine running. They didn't wait for the problem to be fixed. They invested their earnings to solve it themselves.
That's commitment. Okay, we've heard the potential. Let's see the proof. Because the income figures they're pretty wild. And your source calls these small channels.
He does. And when he says small, he just means channels that are following the system but haven't gone completely viral yet.
So give me an example.
Okay. One channel he showed earned $2,400 in its first month. Then in its second month, it jumped to over $7,000.
$7,000 a month is small. It's a hard pill to swallow. What's another one?
Another one started at $1,300, and by the end of the second month, it was at $8,200. The pattern is clear. Once the algorithm locks onto your format, the scaling is just incredibly fast because of that high RPM.
So if that's the baseline, what's the ceiling look like? What are the top guys making?
The biggest example he shared was a channel hitting a consistent $20,000 a month.
Wow.
Its total earnings were over $90,000 in about 6 months. These are the numbers that prove to everyone else in the village that the model works.
Okay, so let's get into the secret sauce, the niche. What is the single best niche for newcomers to get into using this AI approach?
The one they recommend above all others, especially for beginners, is car content. Cars. Specifically, videos about upcoming or newly released models from major brands.
And that ties right back to the high ad rates in the U.S. auto industry. What's the specific RPM they're seeing there?
The range they consistently hit for car content is between $5 and $15.
That's an elite tier on YouTube. So for every million views, you're looking at $5,000 to $15,000.
Exactly. It's a gold mine. But they're not only doing cars, they're diversifying.
Right. What else is working for them?
They're into currency, crime stories, motivation, motorhomes, which is huge in the U.S. heavy bikes. They even have channels about U.S.-based rickshaws making over $3,000 a month.
So the method works on any topic with high-value advertisers.
That's the key.
All right. Now for the most valuable part. The actual workflow. For anyone listening, what is the step-by-step process they use to make one of these videos?
This is the core of their whole automation system. And the most effective format they found is the comparison video.
Why comparisons?
It creates instant debate. You put a new Tesla up against a new BMW, and what happens in the comments?
People argue. A lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It polarizes the audience, drives tons of comments, and YouTube's algorithm sees that high interaction and starts pushing the video out to more people through the browse feature. The debate is basically free promotion.
That's smart. It's engineering virality. And what about video length?
Yeah, there's a trade-off. You could do a quick 3 or 4 minute video, but they strongly recommend going for 15 to 20 minutes.
For more ad breaks.
That and better retention metrics. If someone watches half of your 20-minute video, that's 10 minutes of watch time. That looks way better to the algorithm than someone watching a whole 3-minute video.
Okay, so walk me through the AI process. Step 1.
Step 1 is topic generation. They go to ChatGPT and they can prompt it in Urdu or English, and they just ask for a list of, say, 50 upcoming car names from the US, UK, Canada, and Japan, and boom, there's your content calendar.
Step 2, the script.
They ask ChatGPT for a script for one of those cars, specifying the length, like a 15-minute comparison script. And a key tip they shared: tell the AI not to include headings in the script. It makes the voiceover sound much more natural.
Right, no sections. Okay, Step 3, visuals. They can't film these cars, so it has to be AI images.
Correct. They take that finished script, paste it back into ChatGPT, and ask it to generate specific visual prompts based on what's in the script. So a close-up of the front bumper, the leather interior, the engine bay.
Super detailed prompts. And step 4 is actually making the images.
Yep. They take those prompts to text-to-image AI tools. They really recommend Ideogram AI for cars. They say it gets the details right, and also Leonardo AI.
Then audio, step 5. This is where Play.ht.
Exactly. They use that for the really high-quality voices, or they use the built-in voiceover feature in CapCut Pro.
And finally, editing. Making still images engaging for 20 minutes has to be tough.
This is crucial. It's all done in CapCut.
Yeah.
And they said the keyframe feature is non-negotiable. You have to use keyframes to add slow zooms and pans to the still images.
To give them some life, stop it from being a slideshow.
Precisely. And then they use CapCut's auto caption feature with bright templates to keep viewer retention high.
It's a full production line? Now, what about SEO? Is that the secret? Optimizing for search?
Surprisingly, no. For this niche, SEO is not the priority.
Really?
Yeah. They found that 70 to 90% of their traffic comes from the YouTube browse feature, not from search. The algorithm is just recommending the videos because people are engaging with them.
So the comparison format is doing the heavy lifting for discovery.
Exactly. They just ask ChatGPT to generate the description, tags, and timestamps at the end. It's an afterthought.
Okay, let's talk about risk. They're using AI to talk about unreleased products. What's the chance of getting demonetized for misinformation?
The overall risk is super low, maybe 1 or 2%. But when it does happen, it's almost always because of misinformation. The AI will just make up a feature or a spec.
It hallucinates.
And then the big car company sees it, feels their brand is being misrepresented, and files a report.
That makes sense. So what's the one vital safeguard they use to stop that from happening?
Manual validation. It's the one crucial human step. You have to take the AI-generated info and check it against 2 to 4 real websites before you publish. That little check is what saves the channel.
And who is watching all these videos? Who is the target audience?
The primary audience, the one that delivers that amazing RPM, is what the expert calls uncles.
Uncles.
Yeah, you know, the older demographic in these Western countries, guys who are really into cars, have disposable income, and spend time watching these comparisons.
So what's the big takeaway here? I mean, the core lesson seems to be that YouTube automation, if you're really surgical about it, can literally change the economy of a whole town.
It's proof that you can leapfrog infrastructure problems with collective investment and a smart strategy. The democratization of digital wealth is real. We're seeing channels clear well into 5 figures a month on a replicable model.
The blueprint is there. But what was the expert's final piece of advice for someone listening who wants to try this?
His most critical point was consistency. He was very clear that you cannot expect to get rich quick.
Right.
It takes 3, 4, maybe even 6 months of constant work. You have to put in the time to learn what thumbnails work, what titles get clicks, which cars get the most traffic. It's about learning the pattern.
Which brings us to our final thought. Even with thousands of people in this one village doing this, the expert believes the market is still wide open.
Yeah, he firmly believes there are still huge gaps. He thinks that thousands more successful channels could be launched right now in this same $5 to $15 RPM niche. The global appetite for this kind of information, delivered well, seems to be bottomless.
An amazing look at the future of digital work, all happening in one small village. We hope this deep dive gave you something to think about. See you on the next one.